Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a get to know me video. It's been about 2 years since I filmed my last one, and this is just going to be another introductory video so you guys get to know me a little bit more, get to know what I'm all about, and get to know what the basis of this channel is about. So first things first, who am I? My name is Clarissa. I go by Dr. Clarissa Shah. I'm a general dentist. Let me get a little comfy since we're going to be here for a while. So a little bit of my background. I was born and raised in California, and I currently still live here. I live in Southern California, and I'm in the greater Los Angeles area. I live in the suburbs, and I love the suburbs. Growing up with my family, I was always in the suburbs. And the truth is that with LA, pretty much everything is the suburbs. If you're not in downtown LA, everything else is a suburb. But it's such a big area and a big city that's just easier to say LA or LA area, because if you say Southern California, people can think San Diego, or honestly, California is a very big state. So yeah, I live in the suburbs. I'm of Mexican heritage and I speak Spanish as well. Now my maiden name is Burquez, and to be honest, I still have not changed my name. We are a little over 2 years married, and I have the paperwork for it, but I haven't filed it because it's a very confusing and lengthy process. But I am changing my last name to Shah, and I'll be putting my maiden name, Burquez, into my middle name. And my timeline for that is before we have babies. I went to college in LA County, I went to dental school in LA County, and that is where I met my husband. And I'm gonna go more in detail into that at the very end of the video. It's kind of a long story of how we met, fell in love, and got married. So if you guys are interested to know about that, then just watch to the very end. I don't want to dilute the rest of the video at this point. So I have a list here of some other questions and prompts. This is going to help me keep track of the flow of the video. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is how old I am and what my zodiac sign is. I am 32 years old. I was born June 1992. So I'm actually 32 and a half. And I will be 33 this June, which is really exciting. I mean, to be honest, I love my 30s. I think my 30s are better than my 20s. Both were good, but I feel like I'm really enjoying life now. Once you get into your 30s, I feel like you have a greater sense of self and confidence, and you're calmer, and a lot of the work that you've been putting in over the last decade is finally coming to fruition. So it's a wonderful decade. But family planning is going to be starting soon since I'm turning 33, which I'm really, really excited for. So my astrological sign is a Gemini, but I am on the border of a Gemini Cancer cusp. So my birthday is June 20th, and that is the last day for Gemini. The very next day is Cancer. So I believe I have traits of both. A little bit of both is what they say. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is, do I have any kids, or what is my plan for growing our family? So we don't have any kids yet, and there's a lot of different factors that kind of go into that. The first being that I graduated when I was 28. I'm about to be 29, so I've been out for almost 4 years, but I feel like all the rest of the time I was so busy. I was in school, I wasn't able to travel. I did a little bit of traveling, but not like when you have an income and you're working. Adult life really started for me when I graduated dental school and got my first job. I've always wanted to be a mom. I'm very excited to transition into that next phase of my life, and Raj just absolutely loves children. He really wants to be a dad. He wants to be a dad already. But I was like, okay, easy for guys to say because they just do the fun part, whereas the women, we carry the baby, we give birth to the baby, we feed the baby. The majority of rearing a child lands naturally on the mom's shoulders, not just with humans, with animals too. That's just kind of how it is. And even if you have a really loving and supportive and responsible partner that helps you with, a bunch of stuff, it's still mommy, mommy, mommy. Like, babies and kids, they want their mom. So that's been one of the reasons why we haven't had kids yet, is I still felt like I needed time for myself, time to be selfish and put myself first. We bought a dental practice about 3 years ago. That was a huge thing on our list. We wanted to buy a practice before we bought a house, and then we bought a house a year ago. So that was another big thing. I really wanted to have my home established before I had children. People everywhere do it different ways. My own parents too, lots of moving. But for me, I really wanted to have that part more settled to give me time to just completely enjoy the beginning stages of motherhood. One thing I think I'm really gonna miss though is my nap time and my leisurely morning. Like I love when I'm tired, or let's say if I'm hungover. You guys, I get hungover now with just 2 drinks. It's not even funny. So let's say we went to an event or a party on Saturday and I had a couple drinks, even wine, I will be so useless the next day, which is part of the reason why I really don't want to drink that much anymore, because the bounce back game is just almost non-existent. So I do love though when I'm tired or I've been traveling or let's say hungover, I just cuddle up on the couch and take a nap on a Sunday. And I know that when we have a baby, everything's gonna change, rightfully so, and I'm open and willing and looking forward to that. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is how I got into fashion and how I started a YouTube. So fashion is one of the great loves of my life. I've always loved fashion ever since I was a little girl. I would pick out my own outfits, I would curate, I would style. I just really love the creative aspect of putting an outfit together. And I have to thank my mom. I think I initially got a lot of my fashion sense from her, because when I was a baby and a kid, she would always dress me up. And to this day, she has wonderful taste and wonderful fashion sense, so I want to thank my mom for that. So fashion has always been a thing for me. I've always really enjoyed dressing up, finding great deals, and styling an outfit. And actually before I went to dental school, I was actually considering becoming a stylist. I thought that would be a really fun profession to have. I ended up meeting somebody whose sister was a stylist for celebrity clientele in Los Angeles, but they told me that there's a lot of hidden frustrations with the job that were not ideal. For example, he said that you have to use your own money to buy the items and then present them to the client. So his sister's experience as a stylist, let's say they were looking for a black shirt, she'd go out, she'd have to front the cost for 5 different black shirts, and they're not wearing H&M, no, they're wearing probably designer shirts, take it to them, and the ones that they decide, they keep and pay for, and then she would take back the rest. So at the time, I was in my early 20s, I really didn't have a lot of money, and when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, that is definitely not something that I am willing to do. So after I graduated from college, I actually started my first YouTube account. It was called Lady Clarissa, and that is since deactivated. I deleted that page, but if I may say, I think it was a little bit before my time. What I would do was post lookbooks, like styling lookbooks, kind of like what's really popular nowadays on TikTok. But this was like 10 years before TikTok. So there would be shorter videos, styling an outfit, no words, just putting it up there. And I did that for about a year, I would say, 6 months to a year. But at that time I was also applying to dental school, I was interviewing. My childhood dream has always been to become a dentist. And so that's always been my priority and my focus. It was the #1 focus of my whole adulthood, really. Ever since I graduated high school, I went to college and I said, I need to get into dental school. So every single thing I did, getting an A on every assignment, every test, every class, everything, was with the intention of becoming a dentist and going into dental school. So even though I was having a lot of fun and it was a passion project for me, it was definitely not my top priority at the time, because I had other things that I was working towards as well. And once I started dental school and got into dental school, it was a full-time program. I didn't really have a lot of time to dedicate to social media and exploring this other avenue. Once I was getting closer to graduating, I knew that I wanted to come back, and this time it was going to be totally different. Like, it had been 4 years, my style was different, I was in a different phase of life, I was more mature, and I wanted to start from scratch with a new channel. But of course, I wanted it to be beauty, fashion, home related, because those are things that are near and dear to my heart. So I actually created this channel in 2020 when I was in my last year of dental school, but I didn't post my first video until over a year later. I had the intention though. And part of the reason why I really wanted to come onto YouTube is I felt that This was one of the most authentic of the platforms. And I know that people throw the word authentic around a lot, but what I mean by that is I felt that it was really a place to have a conversation and connect more personally than with Instagram and TikTok. TikTok at the time was just a bunch of dancing videos, so it wasn't necessarily talking to the camera, and Instagram was just very aesthetic driven. It was just posting photos and then writing a caption. I think both of those platforms have evolved now with time. I've tried to share more and more on Instagram, on TikTok, but it's nothing like sitting down and having a conversation like this with you guys. So in that sense of the word, I feel that this platform is the most authentic, where I can truly be myself, talk to you about honest opinions, honest suggestions, life hacks, personal stuff, you name it. I feel like YouTube is where I was always meant to be. So going into starting this YouTube channel, I had just graduated from dental school, and honestly it was coming out of the hardest year of my life. Between 2021 and 2022, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer and was going through treatment. That was devastating for me because she and I are best friends, and I'm also very emotional, and I was just a wreck. I was crying all the time. I was depressed. It hit me really hard. On top of that, I was planning my wedding, which was, I think anybody can say planning a wedding is a very stressful process unless you have a whole team doing everything for you, which is very costly. And I had just graduated, so we did a lot of the stuff ourselves, mainly me, because Raj had just opened his business. So I was planning a multi-day wedding, which was, like I said, just really, really stressful. And then on top of that, I was working in my very first dental office that was not really aligned with who I am and my values as a practitioner. It was a really high-paced office as well, just really busy, and I was worked to the bone, essentially. The money was great, don't get me wrong. The experience was really great. I learned so much, but that level of work was just unsustainable for me. I was working, like, I'm not kidding you, 10-hour days. I would work through lunch every day. I would stay an hour after closing to write my notes, and I was doing standing dentistry, so I was not sitting, I was standing on my feet all day. I used to have to wear compression stockings because my legs would hurt, my feet would ache at the end of the day, and sometimes I'd get home at 9 o'clock at night. So yeah, that was grueling, but a great experience, like learning experience. However, that combined with planning the wedding and combined with my mom's cancer, I was a wreck. It was definitely the hardest year of my life. I was just really not in a good place. And with all of that going on, that's when I started to get back into social media, and I was like, I'm doing YouTube, I'm doing IG, I'm doing it. And I know that might sound crazy, that why pile another thing onto the plate? But to be honest, it's more than just a passion project. I feel like sharing about clothes and fashion and all this stuff, it may seem silly and superficial, but it's really work that enriches my soul because I just love doing it. So even though I was hating life working at that office, hating what was going on with my mom, hating wedding planning, I could sit here and film a YouTube video or film like a clothing reel, and it would make me happy. It would enrich my soul. So that's kind of how I got into it. Fast forward now, a couple years later, thankfully, so much has passed. I'm married, that's done. My mom is in remission now for 2 years, which I just thank God for every single day. And I'm in a wonderful new work environment that is much better suited to who I am as a clinician. So everything finally settled down. But needless to say, I'm just so happy to be here. I love my YouTube community. I love seeing all of the comments that you guys give me, and one of my goals is to always respond to every single comment. I'm not gonna respond to the mean ones, or if guys leave like nasty comments, I'm not gonna respond to that either because it's just not even worth my breath. But I do respond to all of the comments that you guys leave me, so thanks so much. I read them and they're so sweet. It really makes my day. All right, so next I'm gonna get into talking about how I met my husband. So a lot of the questions I get are about my husband, how we met, part of his background, and kind of like what life is like together since we have an interfaith, intercultural marriage and household. And the answer to that, like I mentioned, is we met in dental school. I started dental school when I was 25. He was in the grade above me. So funny, he actually started when he was 25 too, but I met him when he was 26. When I started dental school, and when we met actually, we both were in other relationships. And this is another really interesting thing that we have in common. We are both relationship people. I love being in a relationship. I flourish when I'm in a relationship. So anyway, I was with my ex-boyfriend for 9 years. We dated all throughout college and kind of my early 20s, and we were college sweethearts. And something that's really interesting is that my husband also had a college sweetheart. They dated for 8 years, I believe, and then after, things ended up not working out. So he and his college sweetheart broke up right when he started dental school, and I didn't meet him for about a year after that. And when I met him, he was in another casual relationship with somebody else. And then, like I mentioned, I was still in a relationship with my on and off long-term college sweetheart. And I know this is a lot of background. I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys even care to know, but I promise it makes sense, and I'm tying it in right now. The reason that this is so important is that when I met my husband, we actually started as friends, and we were best friends throughout the first 2 years of my dental school journey. Before we started dating. And one really fun extracurricular of dental school is joining a dental fraternity. And this is like I said, a co-ed dental fraternity. The best part is that you get to make friends with people of classes above you. They give a lot of really great pointers and advice with regards to tests, how to study, how to do work in the simulation lab. So that's initially how we got introduced. We met at a mutual friend's party. Pretty much the first month or the second month that I started dental school, and I had told him that I was joining the dental fraternity, and he asked me to be his little sibling, his little sister. So I ended up being his little sibling, and that really facilitated how our friendship grew because we spent all of the events together. It wasn't just us, our fraternity family lineage included several different young men and women. We all ended up being really, really good friends. But because I was his little sibling, we spent a lot of time together, and he would tutor me in the simulation lab, which is where in dental school you go in and you work on plastic teeth, and that's how you finesse your hand skills for when you're gonna go and start working on real live patients. So he would tutor me, we would be studying together, we would go to parties together, we just spent a lot of time together. And the beautiful part of that is that I really got to know him as a person and as a friend before I ever considered dating him, because initially going in, I had never dated outside of my own culture and outside of my own religion, and that was just something that I had honestly never considered. And I think it's safe to say the same for him. He had never dated outside of his own culture or religion, and it was definitely not something that he was planning for or considering. And spending so much time together and becoming really good friends, I was able to see some aspects of him as a person that I truly admired. His work ethic, the way he treated other people, the way he was always so considerate and so giving with other of our friends, his family values. We would share the funniest stories. So during that time, we were able to get to know each other and just really gained a mutual admiration and respect for each other as individuals, which was amazing. I don't think it could have happened any other way. So during that time, simultaneously on the other end, my current relationship was going through a lot of trouble. During the time it was great, but there were also a lot of really not great parts that were really toxic, and you're young and you make a lot of mistakes on both ends, I'll just put it out there. But essentially, we started dating so young. I was 18 and we were both 18. So then almost a decade later, we just did not want the same things out of life anymore. things were really just not working out. Our relationships respectively end, and we ended up both being selected to present at an international trauma conference. We were representing our school, so we were sponsored by the school to go to London, and we were spending a lot of time working on the presentation together, and we traveled together, and it was during that time that the stars just aligned, and we were like, okay, let's do it. Let's give this a shot. Fast forward a few years. We're married. We've been married for 2 years now, and we just bought a home a year ago. So that is how I met my husband. He was my best friend before he was the love of my life. So I'm very fortunate when we have so many things in common. We're always talking about teeth and life, and we share the same goals and aspirations. We have a similar work ethic. Our families are both loud and spicy and a lot of fun. And I think the best part is just that we share the same love languages. He's really camera shy, so it's hard to get it on camera because once he knows he's being filmed, he gets like RBF. But you guys, he is honestly the sweetest, like gushiest, most romantic. We're always talking baby talk. We go to sleep every night just cuddling, and he pats my head, and I get in the little nook. He's always surprising me and ordering like food when I say I'm gonna cook and I end up being too lazy. He's just a really thoughtful, considerate, and affectionate partner. And the best part is that he is a major homebody. He doesn't like partying, he doesn't like going out, he doesn't like any of that stuff. And he's really made me a homebody. Before I used to love just going out. Before I belonged to the streets, and now I belong to the sheets. Have you guys heard that one before? And I don't mean to the streets like in a nasty way, but my 20s were experienced to the fullest. I went to all the events, I had the most fun, my friends and I traveled, I always wanted to go out and be doing something, and now I'm in my 30s and I love being cozy and inside. I think honestly COVID probably changed me because we became a little more like isolated, and I think also working too was hard because you're really tired on the weekends. All I want to do is stay home, and I want to organize my spice rack, and I want to Pinterest my whole house. That is what's fun for me now, and he is the same way. Not so much with I'm talking like he doesn't want to do the Pinteresty stuff, but he is such a homebody, so it's great. Just we share the same vibe with that. Alright guys, well that is all that I had to share for today. I know we went through so much. I think what I'm going to do is I really want to post some periodic life updates videos, maybe quarterly or bi-monthly, just to kind of keep it up, and I'll create like a little series. And I can share things with you guys that I'm not able to share during some of my more dedicated haul videos. I have thought of taking up vlogging, but honestly, vlogging is a very lengthy process, and it takes a lot of time, not just for the filming, but for the editing. And I really don't have that much time to dedicate to editing extra videos. So if I get an editor in the future, right now I'm doing everything myself, but let's say if I ever do get an editor, then I'll probably incorporate some more vlogs. But if not, I'll have some life update videos coming maybe like every couple of months, just to kind of do a chit chat and share some current life events. Thanks guys so much for watching. Again, I'm thrilled to have you here. I'm grateful for every single one of you guys who watches my videos and leaves a comment and subscribes. Truly from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Another thing I'd like to ask is, if you like what you see here, can you please follow me on Instagram? I would really appreciate that. And leave me any comments if you have additional questions, if you guys want any further videos. I know I went over a lot of like unasked for information. It's just for you guys to kind of get to know me a little bit better. Alrighty, so right now I'm actually going to be filming another Shein haul because I didn't get to some of the pieces last time. So keep a lookout for that, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.